Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah, and on behalf of Kalwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about traditional versus emerging supply chain management practices. What are the supply chain management practices, processes, and new trends, and how to equip yourself for them? So, you will get the best insights, right guidance, and suggestion about all these things as we have an expert with us today in this session. So, stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. Before we start, I would like to thank the Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing such a wonderful platform. The aim of Colvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to share their views and experiences, which will create an impact, will enable you to learn new things, to develop yourself individually as well as to contribute to the world at large in positive way, as our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have a wonderful person as a guest. He is a well known personality in academia and industry. As he has a vast experience, we always see him on different platforms while contributing to the field and world. Above everything, he always extends a helping hand to the community and always ready to share his knowledge. So let me introduce him formally. He is assistant professor and supply chain management cluster head at the Department of Business Administration, ICRA University, Pakistan. He is a certified supply chain management trainer and holds a PhD in supply chain management, backing with more than 18 years of industrial experience, particularly the Pakistan Air Force. He attended various international conferences and authored research articles in well reputed international journals. Moreover, he is contributing to the society and academics through various platforms like member of the editorial board for Journal of Management Theory and Practices, editor-in-chief for a journal recognized by Higher Education Commission Pakistan, a member of IEOM Society USA, and a reviewer for Web of Science, the Scopus Index journals. Currently, he is leading various projects that are pivotal for the resolution of current challenges in supply management. Last but not the least, he's a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, professional, and above everything, he's a great human being. So please help me welcoming our guest, Dr. Aamir Rashid. Welcome to Kalwa's platform, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Haider Shah. Thank you very much. Should I start my slides now?
Yes, please. It's pleasure to have you. And as a reminder to the audience that Dr. Amir Rashid will be presenting the slides, and he would leave the time for question answer session at the end of the session. So if you have any question, you can write in comment section or you can email us. We will ask the speaker directly. So over to you, Dr. Amir Rashid, please. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Haider Shah, for invitation, and it's honor for me to speak on this forum through your comments and commentary. Thank you very
Thank you
much
so much.
again. Okay, today, because the supply chain is a very hot topic across the globe. As we know, before the COVID, before the supply chain challenges, especially COVID and the Suez Canal issue, supply chain was only relevant to the supply chain managers. Only the MBA students, the supply chain managers, and the company owners, they were interested and they were knowing the field of supply chain management. But right now, as the challenges are uprising, now the prime ministers, the presidents, the head of state, they are talking about supply chain management. They are talking about the challenges, the new practices of supply chain management. uh, as a few days back, Joe Biden, the American president, he was talking about supply chain management, and he was especially talking about the challenges. And Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, he was also talking about, and they are worried about. They are uh, reshaping the policies of supply chain right now. So it's becoming very pivotal, very important topic, and hot issue. So today, because the main audience is students, uh, so I preferred to give them insight related to traditional and the new emerging practices in supply chain management. So let me start from the very first slide. For your audience, I would like to introduce this the five words, the letters. Might be so many they know the SMDRC, because it's the key. They are the stakeholders of supply chain management. Like S for supplier, manufacturer, D for distributor, retailer, and consumer. They are the five main stakeholders. So for novice researchers, new students who are new in supply chain management, this term is they will remind in this phase SMDRC, because they are the five main stakeholders. And in with these five letters, whole supply chain revolves around these letters. Uh, Either we are having open supply chain or closed loop supply chain. These stakeholders are there. Starting from the transportation, and before transportation, if I would say that in supply chain, when we plan, then we strategize our supply chain strategies in two manners. One is the responsive strategy, and the second is cost efficient strategy in supply chain management. When we talk about cost efficient supply chain strategy, then we focus on the cost efficiency, the reduction of cost. Our main focus is on the cost reduction. Like in Pakistan, if I can quote the Pakistan Post, previously they were focusing on the cost efficiency, and they were very much into cost reduction, very cheap courier service. But nowadays they are changing their spectrum. They are going towards the responsive strategy. On the other hand, the TCS, Leopard, DHL, they are following the responsive strategy. Uh, from these strategies, all the supply chain strategies, we align with these two strategies, because they directly address the business goals, the objectives of the business. So in transportation, when we talk about, then we are having four main transportation modes, like road, rail, air, and sea. Uh, if we are cost efficient, then we focus on only the cost. We The customer can afford the delays there. And when we focus on the responsiveness, then we select the mode out of the road, rail, air, or sea, that is very much responsive, that is having less delivery time, secure shipments, blah blah blah. For example, if we talk about the coal, if we are transporting the coal, then definitely we will not transport it through air. We will just transport by sea or through the rail. And what is emerging in the transportation, what is new in the transportation in this era, the new is the tracking and tracing. The supply chain visibility is new in this uh, in this entity, transportation. Uh, we involve technology in context of we can say in context of GPRS, GPS, uh, RFID, barcoding. We are utilizing rigorously right now, because I was having a meeting with President of Supply Chain Council of Pakistan. He was telling me that few petroleum companies, they are facing issues of theft. The fuel which they transport through the tankers, different contract carriers, they they stole the fuel in the mid of the way, on the way where they deliver. But recently, by involving the technology, what they are doing, they are using different sensors in the tankers. The sensors, they record uh, the quantity of the fuel, the quality of the fuel for each 1 hour. After 1 hour, it records, and after uh, arriving at the final destination, uh, they just take out the reading, or might be few sensors, advanced sensors. They are connected through the internet and transferring the data to the main server. In this way, this trend is coming anew in the transportation. Pakistan, in Pakistan, we need a lot to do in this area, because we are lacking in the technology, especially we are lacking in the integration in whole supply chain. Okay, after the transportation, facilities comes. Facilities mean distribution centers, uh, warehouses. These are the facilities in supply chain. Uh, when we talk about the facilities, we can say that it's a place where we store uh, our products, our finished goods, raw material, for a short period of time, or maybe for extended period of time. The warehouse provide us the storage facility, we utilize it, and we can postpone our deliveries, we can hold our deliveries, we can uh, manage according to the business strategy, like previously we were discussing about the cost effectiveness or the responsive. We can follow, we can accommodate our strategy through the facilities. And the critical factors which we need to cater in the facilities could be government taxes and incentives. For example, if we are deciding to have a facility in Karachi, Islamabad, Hyderabad, or like different cities, and we have to select one, then we will just look into the few factors like government taxes, incentives, uh, the stability is there, economic stability is there or not, proximity to market, or and proximity to customers also, environmental issues. uh, because most of the time our products are very sensitive and might be perishable, then we have to look into the environmental issues, uh, because some if the product cannot afford the humidity level, the high humidity level, then we cannot afford the warehouse, the facility in the area, in the sea area like coastal highway area. We cannot afford. uh, Labor issues we also have to look into for the facilities. uh, right to work laws also we have to, because as we know, the in Sialkot, uh, they are producing more than 60 or 70% of footballs for the international football teams. They also manufacturing and sewing the their kit, their sports kits for different countries, for different clubs, football clubs. But previously they were banned because they were utilizing the child labor. Because of the child labor, the international players, the international clubs, they banned their products. So we have to look into that either the right to work laws are feasible for us, or suiting us or not. Might be somewhere the women that they are not allowed, like Afghanistan, like previously in Saudi Arabia, they were not they were not allowed to work. So we have to look into access to suppliers and cost, because normally whenever we buy from suppliers, it's a large quantity, it's a huge quantity. If we are taking it in weights and volume, might be thousands of tons we are buying. So we have to look into, according to German economist, he was saying that uh, whenever you are deciding and thinking about the critical factors of facilities, always look into the transportation cost associated with your supplier. Might be your supplier is good, might be you are having a very cheap, or maybe you are having cost per unit very less than, but the transportation cost, the inbound cost might be very high. Then no need to go or select that facility. Always prefer that where the transportation cost is less, because transportation cost is more than 6% of our each bought product. Whenever we buy a product, the transportation cost is there in that product, and it is 6% in that cost, around 6%. So we have to look into uh, previously halal food. That it's very well known confectionery food manufacturer. They were they purchased 15,000 tons of sugar flour from a supplier located in Punjab. And during those days, the TLP, that which is a political party, they were on strike. The roads were closed, and 42 containers, they were stuck in that scenario. What happened? They bought and they purchased uh, in emergency. They applied contingency model here, and they bought from the Sindh. They bought very expensive just to uh, just to run their production. So it is very important, that you have to wisely select the site, wisely select the supplier. Okay, then we in facilities also, quality of life we also consider. Quality of life means standard of living, and education, economy, natural environment, social environment. So many factors are there. We also look into while selecting the facility, either distribution or the warehouse. uh, Last, or maybe no, I would say not least, the land availability. If we are done with all the factors, critical factors, then we have to look into the land availability and the cost, how much costly the land is there. For example, in Islamabad, we want to have a distribution center or warehouse. Nobody will buy a facility near blue area, because it's very expensive. Everybody will prefer to go in the remote area, like Rawat Industrial Estate or something, because it is feasible. It is feasible, and the blue area is not feasible for any facility, a warehouse or distribution center. Okay, then we are having like sourcing. In sourcing, what we can do. Okay, before sourcing, let me explain one model for you in facilities. Uh, we can select a facility, distribution center, warehouse, by applying a weighted score model, which is very common and well known model. We can utilize it. We can select a distribution center or warehouse through utilizing the weighted factor, weighted score model. We give different weights scores to each factor. And after, like we can, for example, in Rawat and blue area, these are the two sites, and we want to opt one. Then we will have different factors. We will identify different factors, and we will give it different scores out of one. If there is a utility factor, then in blue area, uh, zero point 0.9 by 1. In Rabat might also be 0.9 by 1. And when it comes to the land, the cost, then Rabat will might get zero point 0.8 out of 1, and blue area will will get it point 0.2, point 0.3 because very expensive here. In this way, different factors we can calculate, and ultimately accumulating the factor scores, we can select the best one. And all the critical factors which I was discussing, we can include in that weighted score model. uh, then we are having in warehouse the different options, like private warehouse we can have, public warehouse, also bonded warehouse. It's a custom warehouse, we also say it. And contract warehouse, normally we outsource, it's a third party a moment. In private warehouse, if the company is owning the warehouse, then it is called a private warehouse. Public, also Pasco for Pakistani audience, the Pasco where they store wheat, it's a public warehouse. Contract, all the TCS, DHL warehouses, they are the contract warehouses. uh, Let me again link the TCS with the transportation and the warehouse. Uh, whenever whenever we book a shipment, a courier through by utilizing the TCS, we utilize two things. We One, contract warehouse we utilize, and the second is contract carriage, we also utilize. And in contract carriage and contract warehouse, we have specific time, for specific time of we do contract, like uh, 24 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. uh, After, just after deliverance of our shipment, that contract expires. It was about the service sector, because service is normally it expires after consumption. So after facilities, uh, it now comes sourcing. In sourcing, whenever we decide for the sourcing, we look into three factors: that either we are going to produce in-house, or are going to outsource, or, and the third is offshoring concept, where we don't own the facility, but uh, let the others to manage and own the facility on our behalf. What we learned, whenever we source, we consider three factors: in-house, outsource, and offshore. And in outsourcing, we consider third party, fourth party, fifth, sixth, and seventh logistics party. Come again. Okay. Okay, third party logistics, fourth party, fifth, sixth, and seventh party logistics. Here we will just talk about third party and fourth party logistics, because normally we are having, we outsource to the third party and fourth party. Mm, Third party simply is like that if you outsource one function, it would be a third party. And if you are outsourcing a function or more than one functions, and two more than one third parties, then it would be fourth party logistics, 4PL. Normally we outsource a function rather than the whole process. For example, for your comprehension, I can give an example for third party, that if you are outsourcing the transportation, that then it would be third party logistics. And if you are outsourcing the whole process of distribution centers, whole distribution, from warehousing to transportation to delivery, then it would be called as 4PL, or fourth party logistics. And one more important factor, that why we outsource to third party or fourth party, because of the supply chain surplus. Supply chain surplus, what is it? in very common and easy words, we can say that the chain surplus is a profit. Is a profit. Revenue, then subtraction of cost, supply chain activities cost, it would be supply chain surplus. And if you are attaining supply chain surplus, then uh, that activity would be decided accordingly. From in-house, supply chain surplus is there, then no need to outsource. If no supply chain surplus is from in-house activity, then definitely companies outsource their that specific function. And when we talk about supply chain surplus, then how to calculate again, we can say that it's an aggregation of supply chain, aggregation of that specific function. I can explain 4 or 5 aggregations, like capacity aggregation, inventory, transportation, warehouse aggregation, procurement. These are the aggregations. For capacity aggregation, for your understanding, like we see that uh, the Dell, HP, and different laptops, the PC manufacturers, they normally outsource their processor to Intel. Okay. Be- be- this is because they the Intel is achieving the capacity aggregation. And for your further comprehension, when there is one producer or manufacturer and he is having more than 2 or many buyers, then aggregation could be achieved, economies of scales could be achieved. In the same manner, inventory aggregation, transportation, warehousing aggregation, one producer or one manager, and he is having so many buyers. So for warehousing, I can quote that, for example, let's suppose the cold storage. The cold storage, one cold storage is there, and multiple buyers, multiple organization, they ask that cold storage to store their product there. Uh, Now what happened? One manager and so many buyers. In the same manner, all the aggregation they manage and supply chain surplus they achieve, and the in-house activities cannot achieve. So it's better to outsource then. One more critical factor for outsourcing is low cost and higher quality, because you are unable, when you are in-house, you are producing in-house, and you are unable to produce a high quality and to achieve low cost, then definitely you go for the outsourcing. And it's not core functional area of you. If you are manufacturer like Bata Shoe Company, the shoes making production, it's their core functional area, then it's not wise for them to outsource, to have their own transportation fleets. It's good to outsource the transportation and distribution fleets. Normally IT sector, we outsource our IT sector normally. All universities, whenever they want to install the ERP, they want to have new software, they outsource it. They pass it to the third party. Okay, then there are also some risks associated with the outsourcing. Few of them are process is broken in the outsourcing, third party logistics. The process is not end to end from your perspective and the customer perspective. There is a third party in between you and the customer. And not proper, the integrated, it's not integrated. Your privacy is also breached now. uh, uh, Further we can also leakage of sensitive privacy. As we know, a very famous brand, beverage, Coca-Cola, they didn't their brand name, that their brand and their formula, it's not patent. because they assume that if we will go with the patent, then might be our sensitive or our formula might be compromised. So they are not, they're still not registered with the any patency. Okay, after sourcing, inventory management is very important and topic for me, because I love to to teach inventory management. Uh, Inventory management in simple words, and I want to emphasize its importance, that each and every business is having more than 65% of inventory, especially when we talk about pharmacy stores, medical stores. We can see more than 95% businesses in having comprising inventory, and they are managing the inventory. Departmental stores, they are managing the inventory. Production, manufacturing, they are managing inventory. And one empirical study proved that minimum 35%, not less than 35% of any organization, they are minimum managing 35% of their total assets, that is inventory. So the capital is huge in the inventory, because it is having four types. One is raw material in the form of work in process, also we say it, WIP, finished product, and MRO, material maintenance, repair operations. These are all types of inventories. And when we are buying 15,000, I'm again quoting the halal foods, 15,000 tons of sugar, what does it mean? It means that millions of Pakistani rupees are involved. And if you are saving money from the inventory, 0.5%, I normally quote 0.5 or 1%, very less, very small amount, 0.5 or 1% of total inventory capital. If you are saving it, sometimes it becomes also in millions, 0.5% saving or 1% saving. So it's very important to manage inventory efficiently. And from the inventory, you also follow the cost efficiency or the responsive strategy, because supply chain is uh, always revolve around the cost efficiency or responsive. For your uh, for your further comprehension, I can quote the Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is following a responsive strategy rather than cost efficiency. And because whenever you are ordering and you want a Rolls Royce car, then you can wait for 1 year, wait for 2 years, all even. Uh, Now they are responsive in context, or they are taking money and they are customizing according to your desire. And the local automobile industry, it they are in between the cost efficiency and the responsiveness. uh, okay, again coming to the inventory management, very huge amount involved in inventory, need to manage very effectively. And in inventory, we can also say that uh, okay, let me explain the types for the new supply chain managers or who are new in this study. Raw material, for it is from the supplier side and comes to the manufacturer. And when it reaches and it's a part of production, then it becomes work in process inventory. And after converting it into the finished product, it is called finished product. And MRO is maintenance, repair operations, all the stationery, all the supportive nut and bolts, the maintenance related material, it is in MRO. The even the fans, the tube lights, each and everything is in MRO, because it's supporting. Okay, let me see first. Okay, in inventory, we have direct cost, indirect cost. Direct cost is associated directly with the product, indirect, not directly associated with the product, indirectly affects the cost of product. Then fixed cost is like the salaries of salaries of utilities, uh, and number of if you are increasing the number of units to in production, then fixed cost will also vary. It will increase. Also in inventory we have ordering cost, carrying cost, holding cost, because these are all sort of costs associated with the inventory. And how we can manage inventory, how we can control inventory. We can control inventory by applying different models: economic order quantity model. In production we have EPQ model, economic production quantity model. Inventory control, in inventory control systems we are having well known technique, the ABC inventory, ABC inventory control technique, ABC inventory control system, in which 80-20 rule applies. Mean your 20% of inventory is accommodating, is producing uh, more than or equal to 80% of your inventory. I For your understanding, if you are having a tea store tea store of yeah, t-shirts, a store of t-shirts, garment store, and the round neck shirts you are having, the proper t-shirts, v-neck t-shirts you are having, and if the round neck shirts, its sale is high, it is you are selling 60, 70, or 100 shirts per day, and the other kind of shirts you are selling less number of, and the only round neck shirt is accumulating for the B and C, then you will say that 80-20 rule is applying, and the ABC inventory control system, you can manage your inventory accordingly. uh, in departmental stores, they are also managing their inventory, because the A items are very crucial for them. They normally have buffer stock for the A inventory. They always keep the safety stock for it, because it's very crucial. Maybe it's not producing huge revenue, but the sale is very high, the inventory turnover is very high in A category. So uh, let's suppose you go to the metro shopping mall, and you can always have small packets of sugar and rice. You will not find that it's ended, because they are having buffer stock for that those products. It's in the A category. But for the treadmill or bicycle or motorbike, or which is there, you will not find the buffer stock for that treadmill or that kind of products. So that is in the C category. In the A, they have sugar and the grocery items. Okay. Then we are having IT and SCM. Without IT, in this era, the supply chain, or even any functional area, cannot survive. They cannot work well, because 21st century is the era of IT. And this is also a fruit of IT, that we are having this virtual conference and virtual lecture webinar. Without IT, it's not possible nowadays. I attended a webinar of Stanford University. One professor, he was saying that after COVID, uh, two type of businesses will remain. One is winner and second is loser. These are the two situations, huh? One is winner and the second is loser. Who will win? Those who will adopt the information technology, and all those who will not adopt the technology, they will be failure. So we can witness this. Uh, from transportation, warehousing, sourcing, uh, and a lot of technological things has happened and still happening. A pharmaceutical company, a guy from their pharmaceutical company, he was telling me they have spent 63 crore Pakistani rupees just to buy a software, but just to buy a software, a production software for manufacturing. So uh, in supply chain, we have industry 4.0 concept. We are having a new concept of blockchain, supply chain, and big data. And I would prefer to give insight related to these terminologies like big data. What is big data? Big data is, you can say, okay, you are having Google uh, is a big data. But later on, data mining comes. You extract information from the Google by inserting, by finding keywords, and by taking out through your keywords that now the required information is in front of you. It is not the big data mining right now. It's a information floating, the information floating, and it's in front of you. Out of billions or millions, thousands of websites are in front of you. This is information floating. And now from the information, floated information, you need very relevant and specific information. It would be called data mining. This is in a very easy words, basic concept of data mining. Data warehouse, we this is also well known term, and I think so nowadays each and everybody knows about it, because Google Drive, iCloud, these are the examples of data warehouse. We also are using EDI, electronic data interchange. Whenever you go to any shopping mall, departmental store especially, again I would quote Metro. uh, at the point of sale, they have electronic data interchange. uh, we we are utilizing IT in procurement. We are utilizing because in procurement, what we are doing, uh, I was reading, and I normally quote this, that uh, what if you type an email, you send it in 6 seconds, and what if your supplier or your respondent, he is replying in 1 month? It's very awkward, very awkward. So through IT, what we are doing, we just email to our supplier. They at the same time, might be in next 5 minutes, he or she will respond, and in next 5 or 6 minutes we will respond, and might be in the same day the deal is final. So this is the importance of IT, the role of IT in supply chain. Then enterprise resource planning is very much there. ERP, normally we say it, and under the umbrella of ERP, the very famous SAP software is there. HINAS. Here we are having two type of SAP. One is offline, you can say, in very simple words, and the second one is through cloud computing. Mm, you pay for per click in the cloud computing. If you are purchasing increasing number of users, they will uh, 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 charge accordingly. But if you are purchasing offline module, then they will charge very hefty amount. It is very expensive option. During the COVID era, In this era, most of the firms, they went for the cloud computing, because it's not very expensive. You need not to have IT support, IT staff with you, IT department with you, because through cloud computing the SAP is managing for you. So it's a good option. And further what we can discuss, we can have in ERP, in supply chain, we are having different kind of management systems. For example, TMS, transportation management system, WMS, warehouse management system. For transportation, very famous, normally each and everybody nowadays using the transportation management system, the Cream and Uber application. It's a user end, and it's an example of TMS. They are managing, and at the same time it's a cloud computing. It's using algorithm and different models through cloud computing. uh, uh, as we know that if you are booking a ride through Cream, then what it does, it calculate the distance. It also calculate the time for you. It's calculating through the cloud computing, so uh, specifically in supply chain management, uh, in transportation, the GPS, it's doing the same thing. And the Evergreen, the Mercs, the very you can say large companies, very uh, big companies, they are using these technologies. But here, unfortunately, in Pakistan, very few, because the transportation sector of Pakistan, uh, most of them, they are not illiterate properly. They are illiterate. 90%, we can say 95% they are illiterate. So it's very necessary. It's also challenge that the transportation system, the transporters, the goods and transport companies, they are not properly literate, and they are not properly well aware of technology. Mm, Later on, we are also having in supply chain logistics information system, uh, LIS. RFID is very much there. Barcode, very old concept now, but RFID still we are utilizing it, because RFID and barcode almost same, but having can handle more data. No line of sight required in RFID. In barcode, we need line of sight in barcode reader and the barcode itself. So in RFID, no line of sight, can handle data. The data handling capacity is much more there. Can control the theft, because in inventory, whenever we talk, the surplus inventory, expired inventory, we also look into the theft of inventory, because it's a common problem in all the warehouses, all the production plants. They complain normally that their inventory, it's being hijacked, it's being stolen by someone. And it is called inventory inaccuracy, because they document something, uh, and whenever they find in the racks in the store, it's a different, the physical inventory is different from the documentary inventory. It is called inventory inaccurate inventory. And most of the time, if they are not utilizing IT there, most of the time it's being stolen. The theft cases are there. So how they can manage? They can just manage through utilizing the RFID and technology, but IT. Okay, and I think so. The time is only 10 minutes remaining. Dr. Heather, it's over from my side. Uh, I wanted to discuss about the suppliers more, but it's okay now.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Aamir Rashid. And I love the way you started your presentation by quoting the President of United States of America and the Prime Minister of Pakistan, that how supply chain management is carrying so much importance. And I love the way you explain the different concepts. And I personally learned a lot new concepts from you, particularly related to MRO, the supply chain management surplus. And I like your analogy which you are giving and you are explaining everything. I loved the command you have on the subject, which is great. I really liked and I really appreciate it. And that's why we call you people as the academic leaders who contain such a vast knowledge regarding the subject knowledge, and you were explaining in a simple way. And that's what I refer to say, that that's the beauty of the expert, that they make things very simple for the ordinary people to learn in a very simple way. So thank you very much for such a wonderful explanation and content. And I was keep trying to understand that how much knowledge you contain regarding so many things, because on such heavy content you were explaining, and you were so smooth, and I was thinking that how you are managing, because there were so many things coming to your mind, but you were trying to capture only the few important things because of the time limitation. And I can imagine that how lovely class you would be taking when you will be teaching to your students, because you have amazing knowledge, and where you give very nice analogy regarding the data mining concept and data wearing houses, etc. Really, thank you so much for such a wonderful explanation and everything. It was so great. Should we start with the first question, if you allow me, please?
Yes, please.
Okay. Dr. Amir Rashid, we have first one question which we have emerged in one. The question is regarding from the employee perspective as well as from the student perspective. They want to ask that, sir, please guide us. Which skills do you think as an employee we need to have to be a successful supply chain management expert? And secondly, as a student, please suggest us which skill do you think as a student we need to have as a supply chain management student. Yes, your opinion on that, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Heather, for your audience. Uh, for the skills, the required skills for a supply chain manager, the analytical skills are very important. And analytical skills for all managers, no doubt, it's very important. But for supply chain, because in supply chain models, different techniques involves, and without models, we cannot be a good supply chain manager. For this reason, analytical techniques, managerial techniques also, but my emphasis is on analytical technique.
Yes, very nicely said, and that's the wonderful answer for them. You must be a very good at analytical skills. If you don't have, you can cultivate it and you can learn it by following you people and your direction. That would be a wonderful for them. Okay, Doctor Amir Rashid, we have another question. They want to ask that, sir, please guide how to keep ourselves updated on current supply chain management trends. Yes, please.
Okay, okay. I would suggest them that please subscribe some Google. There are so many channels on Google, not YouTube, but on Google. You can subscribe them. They update on daily basis. They update the logistics information from the whole worldwide. They share the information. They update the news. uh, it's a very good option. Secondly, for one question was also there. I remember that the what kind of software or skill or software, I think so, or short course the students can take. I would
Yes.
suggest them any course from the CSCP, supply chain council. They can take. It's an American council, and 3 months course, certification, 6 months certification. It doesn't matter. Each and every uh, course worth a lot. uh, and or you can also opt for the Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma. It's a quality concept for and the operations concept. You can also go with the Lean Six Sigma or only for the Six Sigma. It's a good. You will become a trainer, a good trainer, and from the money point of view, you will have good. You will earn so much money also.
Yes, thank you very much for such a elaborative answer. And you have already given the answer because we have received a lot of questions regarding the software, which software system they could use as a supply chain management. So very nicely you have addressed the two questions in a one way, which was great. Okay, when we have another question, Dr. Amir Rashid, that is, I want to carry out a research on impact of supply chain management in SMEs. Any recommendation on the model I can use? Yes, please.
Okay, there are different models for SMEs. I'm recently I published my research paper with the same, almost same, because uh, you can have so many variables in your model. SME is very interesting and emerging topic in Pakistan. Mm, I can suggest you, and I will forward to Dr. Heather. You can take from the Dr. Heather. I will send a link to Dr. Heather later on.
Yeah, sure, please. Sure, please. Thank you very much. And one last question, since we have almost time limitation constraint. The last question they want to ask that, sir, what are your thoughts and please guide us. What are the emerging research topics or area in the field of supply chain management for MPhil, MS, and PhD student? Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Ji. Uh, the emerging research topics are agile supply chain, resilient supply chain, halal supply chain is very much there, but it's very new. You will be criticized in Pakistan, but it's a emerging trend. Halal supply chain, resilient, and the challenges, how to reactive or proactive during the contingencies. These are the very hot topics in the supply chain if you want to conduct research. And for your audience, Dr. Haider Shah, very very interestingly, the supply chain professionals, they are employed 100%. Nobody, you will not find anybody who is supply chain professional, supply chain having master degree in supply chain management, and he's unemployed. You will not find 100%, and it's from whole world. The globally 100% employment is there. Thank you very much, Dr. Heather. Any question?
Yeah, thank you very much. Very nicely said. And that's the beauty of the supply chain management. When you were explaining the things, I was thinking that yes, it is so vast field and it has covered so important things. And that's why most of the time nowadays students they are more inclined towards supply chain management, as you referred by yourself that yes, because it is so important and mostly you get the job as well because you are a multi-talented person and you can manage so many things and very really interesting concepts in that and really great explanation I would say that and you made it very easy for our audience to understand in a simple words and I would say that attending this 1 hour session is equivalent to read to at least 10 books because you have covered a lot of topics from various textbooks as well as from your own experience and exposure. So very well said. Once again, thank you so much for wonderful explanation and presentation as well. Dr. Amir Rashid, we asked our guest about what is your message to the world as a teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator. Yes, please.
Being a teacher for students, because the main audience is students. So for students, focus. focus is very important for you guys, very important. What I normally find, the students are not focused. I see a light in their eyes when they are standing in a queue on the day of registration. On the very first day, they are in the queue for the registration and taking admission in the university. I can see a universal light, which in each and every student's eyes. But later on, what happens? Later on, they lose their focus, they waste their times, they indulge themselves into unnecessary friendships, for students. It's very important to be focused. If you are focused, then you will achieve and attain everything. I will quote Warren Buffett and Bill Gates here. uh, at at a time, uh, the interviewer, they asked them separately, please explain or write one word, and explain that word. Explain must explain each and everything. And what happened, surprisingly, they both wrote focus. Focus is very important, dear students. So always focus, and you will achieve each and everything then.
Yes, very nice message to the world, Dr. Amir Rashid. Yes, indeed, nowadays we are easily distracted by the technologies, particularly the cell phone and the other things, and we are highly occupied by the things which are not that important. So you need to focus on the strategic goals of your life, and you have to see what are things important in your life and how you are going to justify in terms of time. So, nevertheless, what the Dr. Amir Rashid has quoted, that yes, we have sometimes unnecessarily friendships, and that spoil our time, and we lose the control of focus. So, very nice message. Really like your message to the world, that be focused, and you will get what you want, because they say law of attraction. Law of attraction will make the things happen for you, but you have a iron will for that. So once again, thank you very much, Dr. Amir Rashid, for your time, for your wonderful presentation. It was so great session with you, and thank you very much for that purpose. In the last, I would say yes, indeed, we need to equip ourselves for this particular field, and should learn from the experts as they teach us the fundamental principles, the basic concepts, and their application in the right way. So do follow the distinguished guest speaker through his research work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance. He is very generous and always ready to help the people. Moreover, wonderful explanation and powerful content which the Dr. Amir Rashid has already elaborated will help you to learn and develop your understanding regarding the supply chain management practices. So take advantage of all the information, important tips and suggestions shared by an expert. So that is all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Dr. Amir Rashid, and I would also like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional questions about the information shared today, please email to us or connect to the speaker directly through his email and social media. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. So stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Till next session, take care of yourself. Bye bye.